Good day, good morning. With your permission, we'd like to also join the invocation for this forum. And the concept of a forum is a space where word, message, and meaning is exchanged. And the words and the message and the meaning of why we're here today is the purpose of our prayer. The prayer is our purpose. And with that, we would like to ask the permission to call upon as well, among the roots of our nation, among the foundations of our praise, of our word, of our thought, of our mind, there is that prayer, there is that spirit. And with your permission, we would like to call upon them, call upon those, call upon our ancestors, as part of the Tonatierra, to be with us and to participate with us and to guide us as we go forward in this day. We will be brief. I'm sorry. Sorry, Roses. Every once 11 years there's a cycle of the sun. And there's emanations that from the surface of the sun are ejected and travel towards our earth, Mother Earth, and cause disruption among the communication systems and the media networks of today's society of the world that we live in, this world that's being broadcast with these same technologies every 11 years. These counts of the daytimes, of the sun times, are part of our nature as indigenous peoples. They are part of our constitution. They are part of the reason why the time is now we are here doing what we are doing today. Every cycle of sun, some of them are day, some of them are by the year, some of them follow along with the count that is given by the moon when she reflects those message of the light of our Creator. And for that reason, this is again that day, the Nicantlaka Irwi, the day of the Indigenous Day. And one time when the Native American veterans came into this hall on October the 12th to sign that declaration, this was before Obama said he was going to be, before they came in here, the Native American veterans, this is a day of recognition too for their efforts. And they put their name, their testimony, and their will that these rights that are inscribed in this declaration will be part of the laws of the land, of the home of the braves, lands of the free. Every 11 years, every day, every year, every month, but there are also 26,000, more or less, cycles of years that we call the tonal, the way tonal, the cycles of the suns and the ages under which we have shared our foot trails and tracks on this Mother Earth, to where we now are emerging upon the 6th sun of our nationhood. And under that Constitution we come today. With that legislation we come today. Under that system of jurisprudence we arrive today. We present ourselves again today before all of you, before all of our relatives, to share these words with you. Once again, good morning. Good greetings to all of you. This morning, I've been asked to share a brief message regarding the purpose and objectives of this Indigenous Peoples Forum on the impact of the doctrine of discovery. First of all, may I express my own personal gratitude to each of you for being present here today, and at the same time, with the same breath, may I also express my thankfulness and give honor to the spirit of our ancestors and relatives who have battled centuries of genocide and oppression in order to give us this opportunity today. Today we stand as nations and pueblos of indigenous peoples in regeneration of the role and responsibility that we share with all living beings to protect the sacredness of the natural world and the spirit of life itself. Today we stand in the face of challenges that extend from our own families and the local community on to the regional territory, from continental scale to global magnitude. We face now challenges that are unparalleled in all of human history. As global human society, we face the tipping point of global climate chaos. And in this we, there is no they. Until the adoption on September the 13th, 2007 of the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, barely 4 years, we're going to hit the 5th year this September. The indigenous peoples of Mother Earth were treated as roadkill on the highway of human civilization. Our nations, our territories, our flesh, our blood, our labor, our natural resources have been treated as raw material to be expropriated and exploited without any just consideration for our human rights or the rights of Mother Earth. Within the international law of the government states of the world order known as the UN system, our collective legal personality and cultural identity with corresponding inherent human rights and territorial rights as nations of indigenous peoples were not acknowledged nor respected. Within the UN system, we only existed as populations and not as peoples, minority groups and not as nations. We were regarded as cultural relics. Denial, discrimination, and invisibility were the coins of the realm that were tossed our way in spite of the fact that we continue to be the most ancient of human societies. We are the roots of humanity itself at the planetary level. Even our treaties with the government states, which provide unequivocal evidence and testimony to our nationhood and rights of sovereignty, have been subverted and domesticated like cognitive chattel under the justifications of the Marshall Trilogy, there to rot and decay into the oblivion of human conscience that is the doctrine of discovery. On September the 13th, 2007, this reality collapsed, and a new yet ancient truth, the truth of the sun, the truth of the light of the Nicantraca Iwi, the day of the indigenous, this time, this day. A new and ancient truth came once again to light. We as indigenous peoples are equal to all other peoples. We as indigenous peoples are equal to all other peoples. As such, we freely determine our own future, and in exercising the right of self-determination as peoples of the world, equal to all of the peoples, we also possess the right to our memory, to our past, to our history. What does this new context for the UN system mean in terms of the doctrine of discovery? What does it mean in terms of the continental systems of jurisprudence that derive from the doctrine of discovery? What does it mean in terms of policy and legislation for the United States as a member of the world community? What does it mean for Arizona? What impact will this forum have on the discussions to be had at the 11th session of the UN Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues in May of this year, where the impact of the doctrine of discovery is to be an agenda item for discussion? Whatever the answers to these questions that may come forward as of today in response to the presentations given here at the Indigenous Peoples Forum on the Doctrine of Discovery, hosted by the Native American Caucus of the Arizona State Legislature and presided by the Autumn Hemuchkam, may we suggest that we have before us, what we have before us is not simply a set of questions, but the actualization of a new systemic standard to address these issues in terms of a context and a process that is an initiative of we, the indigenous peoples. Tecan Titraca. Today is a day of emergence. Today we break out of the constraints not only of the doctrine of discovery, but of doctrine itself, with the call to courage to all humanity. We look back, we call for the courage that is necessary in order to vision a new horizon for Mother Earth as she is reborn from the seas of emergence. The millennial journey of the nations and pueblos of indigenous peoples, guardians of Mother Earth, begins once again here today, guided in our quest by the spirit of self-determination and community sustainability. We look back now across the generations of our ancestors, and we look forward to the path of the future generations. And here now, Nicandraca, set our sights. We direct our leadership to engage with all our relations of the sacred Mother Earth, to let our path of self-determination be known. Let it be told, let it be respected, and let it be protected. It is not about what we want, it's what we will. As indigenous peoples, we are peoples, equal to all other peoples, and our histories are equally part of the weave of human memory globally, and as such must be taken into account on an equal basis without discrimination to provide the necessary foundation for public policies of fairness and justice in education and the delivery of services of public health and public safety by the states. We call for this process to continue and to prevail in the spirit of truth over the distortions of doctrine, not merely for the purposes of redress of past violations, not merely for the purpose of redress of past violations, but to actually engage in collective, corrective action in order to move forward with self-determination towards our common destiny as humanity and in maturity as children of the nations and pueblos of Mother Earth. Therefore, we direct that the record of this Indigenous Peoples Forum on the Doctrine of Discovery be presented to the United Nations Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues for consideration in their discussion on this theme at the 11th session in UN headquarters in New York in May of 2012, and to the entire conscience of the world. Ayo. May we begin. Thank you.